Welcome to Beyond the Break, a podcast where we dive deep into the stories behind today's entrepreneurs, leaders, and change makers, and we uncover what it takes to build something that lasts. Let's get started. Beyond the Break.
All right, Art Alfaro, are you ready to go?
Absolutely.
All right,
Let's get this going.
Well, welcome. Today you're on the podcast for Beyond the Break, and Art Alfaro is the executive director of Techspers, which is an excellent organization helping in the public pension space. And I think you've got a great background, Art. I would love to hear today about, your time working for the city, being on the pension fund there as well, and any other stories you want to share with us as well.
Oh gosh. Okay. So we'll start from the beginning.
Yeah. Where is your beginning?
My beginning, 1986. I was a intern. I was at UT, and I needed to make more money, so I went to the financial aid office. I'm like, hey, I need a different job. So like, oh, this just came in. Treasury office, City of Austin. So I walked over there, and Treasurer hired me on the spot as an intern. Gosh. I was at UT at the law library making $3 an hour.
Okay.
10 hours a week. The City of Austin offered $6.20 an hour, 20 hours a week, double. I'm like, I'm in.
Yeah.
And I started off working for the risk manager. Back then in '86, they were just starting with Lotus 123.
Okay.
So they were self-insured, so they were building a database for all their claims, insurance claims against the city. So I was just building a database on Lotus 123 on all the claims. They had them in boxes. They were all manual.
Yeah.
And then I moved over. I did that for about a year. Then they moved me over to the accounting department. The 3 pension plans used to be part of the city, and back then, I remember what it's called. There was this book. It was called a Blue Book. But we do the quarterly dividends. I had to book them manually every quarter as dividends came in. And so I did that for a while. And because I did that, so then I started, I did internship for 3 years, and they hired me, accountant 1, accountant 2. I eventually moved on to treasurer.
From the entry level at the city.
But at one point, so the pension plans went on their own. They separated from the city. And we already had the broker-dealer relationships with the brokers. Okay. And back then, because we had the relationship, we were paying 4 cents a share. The pension funds were paying 6 to 8, 10 cents a share. So we went to the pension funds and said, hey, all trading is going to come through us, through the treasury office.
Really?
And the treasurer said, hey, you used to do the pensions, which I didn't. I just booked that little thing. You're going to execute trade for the pension funds.
Great opportunity.
I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
But if you think I can do it, I'll figure it out. And all it was
love that.
You're going to buy 100,000 shares for all your clients. 10,000 of those are for Austin. You'd have to call me first, so you wouldn't front run me. So you'd call me first.
The manager
called me.
Really?
And so basically we're trading against each other.
Yes. Yeah.
Right?
That's
so they didn't like us.
No,
right? They were not happy.
I was just going to say, I wouldn't.
Everybody was nice to us except for the ones in New York. I remember this lady, Mary, would yell at me every time. Like, why did you? I go, I just call the broker and go yell at him. And then I call the broker. They're saying, tell Mary. I was like, oh, it was a mess. So I hated that.
So to have the city as a pension client, I would have to, before I trade for my 100 other clients, call you.
Me. And then once I got my program started, then I could call you. Okay, you can start again.
Wow.
You can start your side. Yeah.
Did you have managers walk away?
No, because it was, generally it wasn't that bad. It was, everything was, very well traded. It was quick. I mean, I was done and, I called quickly. There was a few that were thinly traded that was harder, I think. Yeah. But I think the harder ones were the bonds. The bonds took some time. But I never really liked that relationship. And then we really got out of it when Instanet came around.
Okay.
We got accused of trading, and I was, you're not a broker. Why are you for the pension plans?
Okay.
Because we'd have to go at the end of the month and go to the pension fund and give them a report of and then they start questioning me. Why did you buy this? I did not buy this.
Oh my
The manager
gosh.
did.
Yeah.
And it was just so one time they accused me of trading without being a broker. And so my boss went with me it was Art Alfaro, actually. We went in there, and she's like, I just thought we were going to go talk. And she was like, I don't appreciate y'all accusing my employee of, so you know what? Y'all want the trades? Y'all want to do 6, 8, 10 cents? Y'all have it. We're not doing anything.
Okay.
So I thought it was better for the pension funds, let you managers do it.
Yeah.
But that was in the early 90s. And then, so I went on with my treasury career, moved on to deputy treasurer, eventually treasurer.
And then you were on, which fund were you a trustee on just one fund?
No. So then in 1999 or 2000, again, because, Art, I was on vacation, actually. I just got a call from the controller, said, hey, we need the city representative on the police board retired, and we need a city representative on there. And Art used to do pensions, so they appointed me. So that's how I got on the police pension board. I was the CFO's designee in 2000, 99 or 2000, somewhere on there.
Yeah.
And then in 05, as by state law, the treasurer has a seat on the fire.
Okay.
So in 05, I got on the fire board. And then 08, I got appointed as the city manager's designee on the employees board. So I was on all three boards for a while.
And that's when you became very popular.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, Art, I met you in that time frame I was early on in my career, and it was you and Pete Morin from the police fund. And you guys were big time. You sat on a very large fund, but I give you a lot of credit because you spent time with me, helping me learn the industry, helping me learn how to communicate to the different, types of plans. And I appreciated your time. And you were always honest, because it was, if you didn't have an opportunity, you would tell me and everybody else. I think you've always been so open to all the money managers.
I agree. And that's one thing I don't appreciate sometimes with our consultants. They tend to keep it close to the vest, and you'll come in and you'll present, and they make it sound like, oh, you may have a chance, and then you leave. And then the consultants say, oh, yeah, we would never hire them. And I'm like, well, why didn't you say that while they were here so they can have a rebuttal?
Oh, my gosh. No.
And so I would tell my consultants, just be honest with them. They may not like the answer, but they'll appreciate it, I think.
Yeah.
So they're not barking up the wrong tree.
Oh, yeah.
So I always thought that was, and like you said, some managers didn't like that, we were friends. And I'm like, well, I will never really hire you. Well, why? For these reasons.
Yeah.
I'm like, at least they know.
No,
right?
I always feel the sooner I know we're not getting hired, the better, because then I can budget my time.
Or there might be my reason might not be valid. You may say, no, this is not true, and then we can do our own research. And I used to always tell people that come in with their book, I'm like, how can I help you? I go, you know how you can help me? Because when you leave here, I'm going to do my own research.
Yes, yeah.
If there's some bad stuff, there's some smoke, just tell me, because I'm going to find it at some point.
That's good.
I'd rather find it before I hire you, because then I'm not going to be happy.
Yeah.
And then we may be able to deal with it. It might just be something, a partner is suing you for whatever reason that left a disgruntled employee. I just need to know up front.
I thought I was always, I'd love to know, you always knew you'd look on your phone and have my information from some one pager I sent you. What was your process? How did you keep track?
My process was more of just like you said, as I learned from you guys, right? Yeah. I mean, y'all come in to pitch at the pension fund once a month, and that's if we have an investment committee meeting. Sometimes we don't talk investments, so that's out of the 12 months we may talk investments 7 times. That's not enough time. So when you were in town or y'all wanted to meet, I'm like, absolutely, because I'm going to learn. I'm going to, I just a little here, a little there. Eventually, I'll figure it out. And I'd always try to keep notes on asset class, because that's where I would get confused. I was like, God, I've met with so many people. I don't remember what product they pitch. So that helped me keep it straight. And I always liked weekends is a good time to read, right? I would take the books. That's why I always tell people, it's better if you meet me on a Thursday or Friday, because I can take the book home, read it, and then just keep it. I used to have a pile. Yeah. I keep it there because consultants sometimes come in and say, hey, we want to talk about mid-cap. Very rare, but every once in a while, like, do any of y'all have met with any managers? And I'm like, oh yeah, I just met with so-and-so, and I think, we should take a look at them. Yeah, yeah. So
I love that. Yeah, you did so much research. And then at the time, were there 3 different consulting firms?
Yes.
Okay. So.
And the funny thing, I had the luxury of being on 3 plans.
Yeah.
Versus the trustees on those plans did not. They think their consultant is the best thing that's sliced bread. Yes, and I get to compare. And I'm like, no, we're not getting what we need over here. Because over here, like on one of them, the consultant would call me a week before the meeting. All right, this is what we're going to talk about. And I love that. Versus on the other board, they'd show up the day of. And I'm like, I don't even know what you're going to talk about. And I'm the chairman of the investment committee. I need to know, if we're going to bring in some managers, I want to know what you're going to recommend, or if you're not going to recommend, or I just need to know beforehand. And so I got to compare and contrast the different styles.
Oh, sure.
And that helped a lot.
Because that's what I think, where we all operate with the sunshine laws, basically, where trustees can't, outside of the board meetings, talk about board business. But there's got to be a way. It's so hard to just within the motion, the second, and the discussion is too tight of a window to really talk something through. So
my thought process was always, if we're asking that many questions at the finals, we didn't do our homework. Like I should have. I mean, that should just be more of a verify and confirm meeting. Sometimes we'd be asking questions, and I'm like, oh my God, they don't even know what we're hiring for right now, because they're asking questions that should have been answered. And I think, to me, that was a failure on the consultant's job.
Oh yeah,
because they're the experts, right? I mean, another thing with you guys, I always used to say this, because you do this 24/7. Most of us, I think everybody on the board, they do it once a month.
Oh yeah,
at most. And so you may be thinking about, God, Austin police is moving slow. I've met with them, and I'm like, no, we haven't even talked about investments in 3 board meetings. And when we do, let's hope that your asset class comes up, because if not, it may be another few months. And so,
because it's always eye-opening, especially now where we can all watch some of these board meetings that are on video for the world to watch. Is if you watch an entire board meeting, you realize the investment part is that we think it's our life, right? It's everything we live and breathe. But when we walk out of the room, and then you're talking about benefit payments and maybe the operational systems that you have, what rent you're paying for the building, there's so many issues.
Yeah, that COVID time was a game changer for someone like me, because I was able to, there's 100 public pension plans in Texas. 70 of them are members of TexPers. Well, one of my goals when I took over at TexPers was go see them all.
Okay.
And there's a lot of small firefighter plans all over the state, and Texas is a big state.
Yeah.
So when COVID happened, I could zoom into their meetings, and I was so impressed with some of these smaller plans that I just thought, oh, this firefighter plan, $13 million in a little small town. They should be rolled up to the state plan. And the questions they would ask. And I'm like, oh, wow. I'll go, they're asking better questions than we are here in Austin. Like, I was really impressed with how much they put into being involved. So that was reassuring.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about TexPers, because we're here today in Florida for the FPPTA, and there's similarities, but do you have an educational track, or how do you handle a new trustee versus someone who's been a trustee for 20 years?
So in Texas, years ago, we had similar to Florida, where state law and everything's through what's mandated through the states, the way our educational is set up. They used to have module A, B, and C, so you had to graduate through the 3 modules, and then you got your certificate. That we went away from that from the state. Now, actually, they just passed a new law, 2025 this year. For a new trustee, anybody on the board or executive director, they have 12 months to have 7 hours of core education, and that's pre-approved through the Texas has a Texas PRB, the Texas Public, what does PRB stand for? Pension Retirement. We have an oversight board in Texas, and so they have no teeth, but they can't call you up there and embarrass you, which is what they do when someone's not. But they prescribe the 7 hours of core, which is investments, legal, benefits. And so TexPers puts on that class.
Okay, so you guys provide the education.
But we can't, so if you were in Austin, hey, Chris, would you teach this class? But you got to follow these slides.
Yes.
These are the slides that have been pre-approved. You can talk a little bit more about other stuff, but you have to cover these slides. And so you get 7 hours of that, and then you're in compliance with state law. After the initial 7 hours in the first 12 months, it used to be 4 hours every 2 years, and they just changed the law to 2 hours every year. Yeah, 2 hours every year. They called me what I thought of that. I recommended they go to 10 hours. I think 2 hours isn't enough. You're making decisions that are going to impact, constituents, retirees for the rest of their lives. I'm like, some of these people know zero finance, and you're going to have 2 hours. And the continuing ed is 2 hours every year, and 2 hours meaning they could sit in this classroom right now that they were talking about, I don't know what, just a motivational speaker that counts as an hour.
Oh, okay.
So it's that. So the 7 hours is pre-prescribed classroom. The continuing ed it can be anything. It's core or non-core. It could be investment related. It could be Open Meetings Act.
And it doesn't have to be through TexPers.
It doesn't have to be through TexPers.
Okay.
You can do it online through the Texas Pension Review Board, Texas PRB. It's free for them. They come to the conference, but I tell people, it's not because I'm a TexPers executive director, but even before, I always just felt you get so much more.
Yeah.
Because, it's a human nature. It's the energy you get at the conference. I've met so many people here just being here 2 days and talking about topics and stuff. And I just feel like you learn a lot more.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Asking your colleagues from other plants on what they're doing or what they're thinking, or just afterwards, what did you think of that speaker? Gets you talking about the topic.
Oh yeah.
So I always tell people, if you have to, do it online, but
No.
I think you just get so much more in a conference setting or a meeting setting because you can ask questions.
Yeah. Because I see it where, excuse me, where we have clients, and if one is doing a search in an asset class, I'll say, oh, why don't you go talk to Sarasota or go talk to Jacksonville, because they just went through a similar search. And then they are talking together at the coffee station, and that's where I see so much learning there as well.
That's true. Yeah.
Because if you think of the collective experiences of the 600 trustees that are here today, and then yourself from other plans, that's really powerful overall. So what other states have you been to and, observed there?
So I went to the Georgia GFPPT, went to go see how they ran their conference.
Okay.
I think they're a little behind we are, and that's just because it's time. Like Texpers has been around, I think they're on their 40th year.
Okay, so similar
just kind
to
of
Florida.
to here, but in Georgia, I think they're in their 13th year or something.
Younger.
I do like how they do certain things, and they're a lot more formal in terms of badging in, badging out. I was kind of shocked they wanted me to badge in. I'm like, I'm not a trustee.
Yeah. That's always an age-old battle, right?
Yeah, I'm just here as
how much forced attendance there is, because the trustees, they are adults and they're here on taxpayer or pension money, but they should be here to learn.
That's
right?
right.
So how do you balance that?
Yeah. I get frustrated with my staff sometimes because they get so hung up on the golf tournament or the evening event. I'm like, they're here to learn.
Yeah.
That's just while they're here, let's give them something to do. I go, so we can't waste too much time on, well, this golf tournament might not. I'm like, that's just, we got to remember our mission. Our mission is to give them the best quality education they can so they can be good fiduciaries for their consultants, for their constituents. And then, and then the trustees keep coming, then the managers keep coming, and it's the synergy between the two that makes the conference a success.
Yeah. What are the numbers as far as how many trustees and how many?
It's been so we have a formula on terms of, because Texpers is a membership only organization, so we have a formula to try to keep it to a 1-to-1 ratio. Which part of the formula is you can only have so many firms. Once it gets to a certain level, then we cut it off.
So that's money management firms
to trustees.
Okay.
But I think we got plenty of space. But and even on top of that, a firm can only bring 2 people. I've waived that.
Okay.
I've told my staff, I said, look, I've been doing this so long. I can just look at the room and see if there's like, oh, wait, there's way too many managers or marketers in the room.
Because I remember that one time there was a wait list, right?
Yeah, there was a wait list. But it's literally been like, I keep a spreadsheet because we use an app, and it's hard for you guys to do the app. So I keep starting about a month out, I start building a spreadsheet with 2 tabs, trustees and I call it pension systems and investment professionals.
Okay.
And I keep them too. And that way, if somebody wants it, I just email. It's easier for you guys to read. But it's been 1-to-1. It's like 300 trustee administrators, 300 managers. And out of those, and I include in the managers, the consultants. The other day I had, like the last one we had, I think it was 300 trustees, 300 managers, but out of those 300 managers, there's like 35 consultants.
Wow. The numbers, you mentioned the number of trustees, but on the investment manager side, does that involve lawyers and actuaries and all the categories?
They do. And I constantly, every so often I change. I'm trying to figure out the perfect name to call y'all, but I've gone from service providers to investment professionals and I think I've landed on investment professionals, IP. Yeah. But that includes attorneys, anybody who's not a trustee. Okay. Where it gets a little sticky sometimes for me is like Opal, other education folks, we reciprocate. So hey, can I come to your conference? Absolutely. I don't know where to put them. Do I put them in the pension system?
They're observers.
Yeah. So I've been putting them, they're kind of like a vendor.
Yeah.
So I put them on the service provider side, you guys side. But it's been I like the ratio. It's 1-to-1.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking even 2-to-1 would still be okay.
Yeah. I mean, you've done this for decades. You know the right feel.
Yes.
When there's too many money managers chasing too many trustees.
Where we do have a list right now is on the securities litigation office.
Okay.
So we keep that. We have a list, and there's a waiting list on that because those providers, there's a lot of them.
Yes,
So,
yeah. There's certain industries that have expanded.
You know, it's funny. For a while
after-
there, we had and I don't know why. When I took over, like, why do we have I don't know, it's like 5 or 6. It was a number of hedge funds.
Mhm.
Period. I was like, why did we just pinpoint hedge funds? So
Probably
I got rid of
back
it.
in 2000.
Right, when all that was-
yeah,
yeah.
it was very popular in 2000 to 2010.
Mhm.
And then now it's private credit, private
Yeah.
debt. There's so much of that. So you've seen the ebbs and flows.
Uh-huh.
And now the active management versus passive management, and, you know, there seems to be a trend back towards active management, which is
Correct, yeah.
exciting for us, obviously. So, well, you've done a great job over your career. It's amazing to think you started at the actual entry level
I know.
as an intern while in college for the city and haven't left. And
And it was
so
great.
much.
Once I was treasurer, it was great because my staff sometimes I'm like, I had that job. It doesn't take 4 hours. It
Yes.
takes 2.
Yeah. No, I love that.
So
yeah.
that was good to and I did every job there. So it was good
Sure.
to know. It was easy to monitor my employees because I'd done it before. So
Yeah.
that was
Same
good.
thing as a trustee.
Yeah.
Because now, as the executive director, you know what trustees are responsible for. You know what the city's responsibilities are. So, well, Art, thanks so much for your time.
You
Appreciate
bet.
you coming in
Yeah.
beyond the break, but you've had a great career and keep up the great work.
Pleasure.
All right, thank you, buddy.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to Beyond the Break. If this conversation brought you value, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you never miss an episode. We've got more real stories, sharp insights, and powerful turning points coming your way. See you next time.